Awesome. Yep. Nope. Slide. Go back to that. Hit the down arrow on the slide. This episode is brought to you by yours truly, Matt Norn of Remax Bell Park. For all of your real estate needs, call me 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. I'm Matt Norn, and this is Kyle Morrissey's fill-in, Ryan Brown of the Haunting Hour, the Brown Brothers Haunting Hour podcast.
It is good to be back at the bench. Thank you for having me again, sir.
Welcome, welcome. As you all know, the bench is here for repairing the sense of community. So every week we bring you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, and pretty much whoever we feel like talking to. And this week we feel like talking to Dan Bennett of DBC Solutions. Dan.
How are you, man?
Hey, it was great meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Of course. So you are let me get this out of your way. You are a local builder.
Contractor, yeah.
Contractor.
Remodeling, additions, and outdoor living. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. And how long you been doing that?
Well, I went to Ellis Tech for carpentry.
Okay.
And I've been doing carpentry in, some form or another, working on people's houses my whole life.
Yeah.
I started my business originally in 2004.
Yeah.
It was Dan Bennett Carpentry at the time.
Okay.
I did that for about 10 years and then threw in the towel. I had enough. Wasn't growing like I thought it would, and
Okay.
just didn't know any, I didn't really know how to run a business. I was a carpenter, just, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so I took a few years off, and then I took another stab at it, and this time I started asking better questions. I hired a business coach, and
Oh, nice.
things are looking up now.
Nice.
Moving in the right
Nice.
direction.
So, I mean, that many years in carpentry, you must have some stories. I mean, I was a carpenter professionally in some form or another for 15 years, and some of the things you get to do, some of the people you get to meet.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stories, but it's going to take me a second to think of stuff.
That's all right.
But
You still got all your fingers, or you?
yes.
Did you ever
Thank
shoot
God.
yourself with a nail?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, a
So
couple
we've got
times.
that. I've done it once.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Well, I got myself in the kneecap one time with a roofing gun.
Ooh.
Kneeling down in the valley, and I threw the gun down in between my legs and didn't quite get my finger off the trigger in time. And
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yeah.
I know exactly the move.
Yep.
I know the move.
yeah,
My wife, once in a while, when she's working with me or whatever, she has this terrible habit of just squeezing the whole handle of any tool. and
Yeah.
They're always plugged in.
right.
Stop. So, yeah, I get that. What's your general area that you work in?
We like 40-mile radius around North Grosvenor Dale. So
Okay. So you're licensed in all 3 states?
all 3 states.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there early. DBC Solutions is your website, which I took a quick look at it. It's a beautiful website. Looks
Yeah.
good.
Thank you. Yeah. It's just dbc.solutions, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yep. And then your phone number, 860-341-6373.
Yep.
And you're on Facebook. Are you on any other social media
Facebook,
platforms?
Instagram.
Oh, okay.
TikTok, I think.
Yeah.
Allie does all that for me. So
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Allie Mack.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So when you just kind of give me the like your process. People call you most of the time for
Oh, that's a great question.
quote additions, that type of thing. Give us the kind of the rundown of how you handle a client.
Cool. Yeah. So just within, I don't know, I'd say probably been doing it for about 3 years now. I created a system where I have people send in a project walkthrough video. So we work with a service called Groundwork, and they go on our website, fill out our contact form, and then they get a text message back from us asking them to shoot a project walkthrough video. So just take their smartphone and, I always ask them to kind of stand back so I can see the whole room and just move the camera around slowly. And as they're doing that, explain, what they're hoping we can help them with, what they think is most important. And then they send the video over to us. I review the video and then I reach back out to them to set up an initial consultation, which we do the first one by Zoom. And try to get all the influencers on the phone at the same time, so everybody that's help making decisions, picking colors, whatever it may be, are all on the call at the same time, so we're not working backwards afterwards. And then if it makes sense, we'll talk about budget, timeline, or usually the two most important things for people.
Yeah, budget and timeline.
Yeah. So once we establish that and we know we're on the same page, then we'll set up our initial on-site consultation, go out and meet with them in person and take some measurements and some of my own pictures and
Nice.
stuff like that.
Sound like ridiculously easy for a client starting out for you guys. It's got to be the best way to do it for them.
It's easy for all of us, but
Right.
it lets people be able to, we don't have to be parading around in their house until we know that we're a good fit for each other.
Right.
So,
Nice.
High tech and efficient. I never even would have thought of that.
Thank
And
you.
I always want to, all right, I'm coming out.
right. Yeah.
And how many people do you get having you come out just to kick tires, or you just don't have the same ideas or whatever the thing, where you may not work with this client or for whatever reason, there's 100 reasons why you might not that,
Exactly. Right.
yeah, but like the idea that, we can all be on the same page, because there are a lot of people will call and then they're like, well, I want a deck for $2,000.
Right.
It's just not the
Exactly.
numbers anymore,
Exactly.
and so that's actually a great way and efficient way to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's people are way off a lot of times. A lot of people just don't know.
Well, it's changed so much in such a short time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the internet you get some crazy numbers on there. You got like what is it, Angie's List, I think now, that just I feel like misleads people.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
gives
really?
them low ball numbers because they want them to engage so they can make money. And then I got those people calling me up, like you said, they think you can build a deck for $2,000 or remodel a whole bathroom for $5,000 or something like that. It's just not realistic. So.
Right. And I mean, 2020, building materials just skyrocketed with the shortage on labor, shortage on supply lines, that type of stuff. So like all the prices just went up.
Yeah.
And now they've come down a little bit, but it's still it's even thrown my scope of work. You know what I mean? Like when I have contractors bidding jobs for, my clients or, whatever, if we have a punch list of repairs for whoever, the appraisal or whatever, sometimes I'm shocked too. you
Yeah.
know, and I've been in the housing industry for almost 25 years now.
Right.
So
I'm shocked.
yeah.
I've been doing it my whole life. And
Yeah.
every time I have to spit a number out to somebody, I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
It just is what it is,
Yeah. And it's, you gotta make enough to keep the doors open, the lights on.
Right.
So,
You might as well stay home.
right.
Yeah, for sure.
And so now, do you have, how many employees do you have?
So I have 2 employees right now, just one carpenter and then one very part-time office girl that helps me with office work.
Yeah.
And then everything else we sub out.
Sub out. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you, so when I was a builder, one of the first things I subbed out and couldn't wait to do was roofing
Oh yeah.
and insulation. So,
Yeah. All of that for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part? What's your favorite things to do?
Well, I'm a carpenter, so
Yeah.
I like to build stuff. But I mean, honestly, at this point in my life, I would rather not do it at all. I want to run my business,
Okay. Yeah.
Once in a while, I like throwing my tool belt on and build something and help out a little bit, but I'm over it. I mean, I'm 52. I beat my body up doing it my whole life.
Gotcha.
I got both of my hips replaced in the last couple of years.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, let somebody else do it, right?
right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. You pay them, you get them good work,
Yeah.
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality control. That's
That's very important to me for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever have anyone still not cope the baseboard?
No, because I won't let that happen. Yeah. Inside.
You guys got to, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, so when it comes to trim and you're going on an inside corner
Yep.
of like anything, whether it's a chair rail or baseboard, so you have people that will just cut that on a 45 and they meet in the middle.
Gotcha.
And you can make that look good for about a day and a half.
Yep.
And of course, the house shifts with every expansion, contraction. They're made of wood. That's
Yep.
so there's always almost every material on earth shifts. So they have a technique called coping. So you would have one go square into the other wall and cut it off nice and tight. And then you have the other piece that comes in, but you cut the profile of that piece of trim into the
Gotcha.
other one.
Yep.
And you actually try and cut it sharp enough where it almost cuts into it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So you do that with crown mold and chair railing, you know, baseboard. Even when it's a square profile, you don't do the 45 because inevitably that wall will open that joint up and it looks horrible.
I can
I
only
mean,
imagine. Yep.
some of them are like, I could walk through that, you know?
Yeah, right.
And when it has that flexibility to move along with the same profile, that's called coping. And
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
and even if the corner's not perfectly 90 degrees,
Right.
they'll always come out nice and tight.
yeah, it works that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone, you know, everyone likes that moving forward because the painter doesn't have to caulk every one of your joints, you know.
Right.
And if it's stained, then it's even more reason to
Yeah.
close it up. So
I noticed your trimmer. I
Yeah.
like that. The razor trimmer.
Yeah.
That's for trim work, right? For
right, yeah,
take
so,
a nice little slice off it when you got to make it fit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had bought that and then went into real estate. So
Yeah.
I used it just to try it out. But now it's just a showpiece. But
Those things are nice stuff.
it's still razor sharp.
Yeah.
And yeah, my thought was to maybe put it in the middle of a house. So you didn't have to go all the way out. I had a trailer, work trailer.
Yeah.
And to not go all the way out, just to take a sliver off. Like that was my intention, was I was going to set it up that way
Yeah.
in the house. When you were working, I did mostly for whatever reason, and thankfully I got a lot of trim packages and built-ins, and I would get built-ins from people, from other carpenters that said this, you know, it's 300-year-old house, is like, call Matt Noren because it's like not going to fit.
Nice.
That was like one of the things, was like kind of how majority of my work was like that. A lot of coping,
Yeah.
a lot of fitting to the walls or built in place for that aspect. So it was kind of cool. But
Nice.
and it kind of, you know, the custom cabinets and custom work where, you know, especially if you had another carpenter in your network that was like at a loss, and then that was where I loved being, you know, that creative problem solving, that
Right.
type of thing was what I loved the most about it. Besides working with people, that's kind of one of the big reasons why I went into real estate, was because I just liked working with people more than beating my body up. you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, so I totally get you on that. And you know, it's another passion to be running a business, and like you get your quality control up, you get your subs all in line, and
Yeah.
making sure it goes smooth, you know, and you got them in order, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. It's completely different animal than being a carpenter. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I don't know what Ellis Tech was for you. When I went there, it still lacked a little in teaching how to run a business.
oh, for sure.
As
Yeah.
far as that went. Now it's to my knowledge that they are a lot better with it.
Oh, do they do that? I
Yeah,
didn't know.
It's
Yeah.
actually shout out to Mr. Gallo. That's,
Okay, yeah.
He became the carpentry teacher, I think, as I graduated in '02, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And he brought more of that to the table, having had run his own business and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I know that they took off with that when I was in high school, so that was 2012. But I knew Ellis Tech was like big for business if you wanted to learn how to actually start one.
Yeah.
They pushed it which is awesome.
And it's crazy because the other trades like electrician, plumbing, that was built into the education for the license. Like,
Right.
you couldn't
Right.
get a license without that. And I was just
Yeah.
like, why wouldn't they pair that with, why don't we have a license for carpenters, for certified
Right.
carpenters, you know?
Yeah, my brother's a master electrician, and that's what the masters. You get your journeyman or whatever, your regular electrical license, and that's about wire and stuff. And then you go take your masters, and that's about running a business.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I know when I mean, I thought that running a business would be easy. I was out there working, banging nails. The guy that I'm working, all the people that I worked for, it just seemed like they were making all the money and I was doing all the work. And I
Yep.
was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But I learned the hard way for many years that it's not so easy to run a business.
No,
There's a lot to it.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of risk. There's a lot of self promotion.
Yeah.
And just even the way you speak to people when they call you to your house or on Zoom now. That I'm floored by your process there. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would imagine for these newer generations, it's like they like that better because they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, we get it's a lot. People really do like it for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some people give us pushback. Some people, but it's
Yeah.
funny because I think that a lot of the people that are giving me pushback, it's because all they really want is me to come out to their house. They want me to teach them something, or they're just looking for something
Yeah.
for nothing most of the time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I luckily didn't run into a lot of that. And the other thing was chasing money. I didn't run into a lot of that either.
Yeah.
I don't know how does that happen?
No, I don't do that either. We have a good system set up, and I take progress payments throughout the project. And
Yeah.
by the time we get to the end, we're down to, like, depending on the job, 5 or 10%. I don't leave a lot of money on the table for people to mess with me for. There's
Yeah.
no need for that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
I can remember talking to other contractors. They're like, it's just you do your thing during the day, and then you're either out estimating or you're out chasing checks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that that, like you said, there's certain things that just put a whole damper on the whole thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I'd rather you're like, I give up. I'm not
Right.
and you gave up that your first business, and that's what DBC stands for. So
Dan Bennett Carpentry, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So,
The solution was I needed a job. I had to come back. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. How did you do with the '08 slowdown?
That's
2008.
interesting. I don't. We were talking about somebody about this the other day. I don't really remember that being a big deal. I mean, I
Okay.
was back then. It was Dan Bennett Carpentry, and I was grossing like $250,000 a year
Wow.
consistently, but never growing, never getting any more than that. And I don't remember that being a big issue to me. So
Yeah. And notice he said grossing, so don't think that's what he was taking home.
exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. There wasn't much left over.
Yeah,
for sure.
and that's kind of the way business is. Sometimes it looks like a ton of money, but once you pay all your expenses, you pay all your employees, your insurance. Insurance is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Workers' comp insurance,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. It's like it dwindles down. You're working 80 for what 40 with somebody else could get you. You know
Exactly,
what I mean?
yeah.
For hourly anyway.
Excuse me.
And the job has to go smooth to make that profit. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody puts the toilet in the wrong side of the room, which happened to me,
Oh no.
you're burning time fixing it,
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people don't realize that those innate risks that you have to take
Yeah.
to get your bucket filled at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, that was one of the things that I just didn't know. I wasn't charging enough money. I thought I was. I was like charging. I remember in the beginning, I was charging like 40 or 50 bucks an hour for myself, and we're talking 20 years ago now. So that was to me, that was good money. And then I'm having like friends work for me, and whatever I'm paying them, I'm throwing another 5 or 10 bucks an hour on top of their pay. And so I'm like, oh man, I am raking in the dough. And but I didn't know. I wasn't job costing, which was, once I learned that, to just after every job to stop and take a look at it and see how much I actually made on the project. Then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not charging enough. So
Yeah. Yeah. One thing, luckily, I have an accountant for a wife. When I was doing it, she said, you have to make X amount. You have to put X amount in this account, per week. And she was, I really don't care how you make it, how many commissions you're collecting or whatever. She's like, this is what we need to run the household. That's what we need as your contribution. I was like, okay. And there was a couple of weeks, where I was like, I'm taking from, the kitty that I didn't think I had to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was like, oh, okay. So Yeah, and I always charged by the job, and I tried to figure how many hours I was going to be at jobs, and that part was super hard for me at first, because I just like you forget all those little details that you're not going to let go. I'm not going to like leave this job without that getting done or that getting fixed or
Right.
this punch list being done. And then, all of a sudden you're there till 8 o'clock at night and you're like, I thought this was going to be my last day. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are making me never want to start my own business.
Carpentry, real estate, totally different.
I can only imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably nice. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have a lot more flexibility, a lot less money out. So like when you're doing carpentry, you're buying a ton of stuff,
Makes sense.
and it's immediately cutting into any of your operational money or like if they give you a deposit, which was one thing I was great at. I would do handshake deals and go out and get all the material, and you're supposed to have the material at least in your deposit, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you didn't get burned that way. And luckily I didn't get burned, but there was a couple of times Kayla, my wife, would get super mad at me. She's like, you didn't get a deposit, you just spent 20 grand at the supply
Right.
house. I'm like, yeah, I know,
It'll be all right.
it'll be all right, I know him.
Yeah. You know.
And yeah, luckily I didn't sink myself, which could have definitely happened. But then you start learning those little techniques to mitigate the risk and
Yeah.
getting things up front. And like I said, we'll go back to your process of meeting people, doing a Zoom consult first. That's just like great initiative, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Do you want to shout out to any of your subs that you love using?
sure. Yeah, we work with JV Mechanical out of Webster. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys or not.
I think I've heard of them.
Plumbing
The
and heating.
Plumbing
They
and
do
heating.
most
Yeah.
of our work for that. Really good
Yeah.
company, father and son.
Live in
started-
Webster, so yep.
Okay, you
Yeah,
know
yep.
JV
Okay.
then for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And my brother's an electrician, so that's T&T Electrical Services out of Southbridge. Well, actually, he moved into an office now in Oxford, so
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
where they're set up. He lives in Southbridge, and then also TJ LaFletch, and Sons.
Yeah.
You know TJ?
Yeah. He was in. I think he was a year ahead of me, and his wife was in the same grade as me at Ellis. So, yeah, TJ, I know him.
Nice.
Know him good. Yep.
Yeah.
Good people.
And we've been using Markopolis out of Worcester for roofing and siding.
Yeah.
Jean-Marc. Do you know Jean-Marc from North Governordale for sheetrock?
Okay.
Another fan.
I knew you were going to say sheetrock. Is it
Yeah,
French,
right.
French
Right,
name like
yeah,
that.
exactly, yep.
French Canadians are so good at sheetrock.
And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to Allie. She's the one that connected us here. But
Yep,
she does all
okay.
my marketing stuff, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, she's doing so many amazing things for small business
Yeah.
in the area and whatnot, including just her being so talented. She writes books, she does marketing, digital
Right.
marketing, all of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
She co-hosted a couple weeks ago, right?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got some shoes to fill between her, Will, and Adam. Are you kidding? That is top tier. Oh my god.
No, you're doing great. It's the whole podcast thing is amateur hour, and I'm okay with that. You
Hey.
know what I mean?
Preaching to the choir, especially with our show. Relatively, but
I will say you guys do a lot more, the research and just like doing way more during the week to lead up to it.
yeah, the executive producer, aka Tyler, really puts the pressure on to make sure it's top tier. So
Yeah, you guys do so much research, and it's really cool how you guys can reverberate so much information.
No, we try.
I knew I wouldn't be good at that, so that's why I was like, oh, we're just gonna go live and see what where the conversation leads.
I respect it though.
So you're doing like haunted stuff? What is that like?
Yeah, so we just do God, every week or so, or every 2 weeks, we do a different topic regarding true crime, ghost stories, whatever it might be, that we feel like covering that week.
Yeah.
We jump into a different topic. One of us comes in blind more or less to the show, so we have like natural reactions to the story being told.
Gotcha.
But like right now, this is like our dead time of the year. Summertime, nobody really wants to listen to true crime horror stories unless you're a huge buff for it. But God, within the next two or 3 months is when we really start ramping up. A lot of people start listening to us again. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it's almost go time for us. But
Yeah, even I mean the summer in general, I think people are doing less with the screens, doing less with the technology. They're out,
Right.
enjoying. And that's I mean forever. We used to watch a lot of sitcoms as kids. They would end in June, and then
Right.
you have the summer off,
Yeah.
and then they fire back up in the fall. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
That-
I
and
never
it's-
really thought of that.
and
but
it's
yeah.
almost the same, I think, in podcasting. You just get a dip in
Yeah.
viewership or whatever, and
unless you're Joe Rogan, then you're just swimming in money.
right.
well, that's definitely a different level.
No, for sure.
But yeah, it is what it is. But I listen to a lot of podcasts passively and in the rears. So like, podcasts that came out months ago, I'm listening to now or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever. Bring it back to the Brown Brothers Haunting Hour. They have a really good episode on Rocky Point theme park. I love it when you hear those local things. Or I'm reading a book right now by a local author called Pushing It Down, and it's about his struggles and memoirs about PTSD.
Oh, okay.
And it's just so cool when you're reading something or you're consuming some sorts of entertainment and you hear these local references, just even the streets that he was talking about are like right here in Danielson. You know what I mean? It's so
Right.
cool to do that. And then
Yep.
these guys talking about Rocky Point on one episode, and their other latest episode,
Haunted Route 44.
Haunted
Yeah.
Route 44.
I didn't even know Rocky Point was a thing. Like when Tyler told me, I'm like, oh, what is this? Like Wisconsin or something? He's like, no, dude, it was about 40 minutes away in Rhode Island.
Yeah, yeah. Were you born after 96, 98?
No, 93.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so-
you're still too young.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
my family went to Rocky Point, I think annually, because I remember the corkscrew, the free fall, all those things you were referencing, the ones that are all haunted now.
Yeah, right.
That place isn't open anymore, right? It's,
Correct.
Yeah.
It went
Shut down, I
98.
think 98, yeah.
98.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it's obviously it's haunted.
Yeah, that's what they claim. I've
Yeah.
never been, but apparently so.
Okay.
yeah, and it was so. I remember when it was closing, there was like big developers going to be coming in, building condos and stuff like that, and then nothing's. It's just deserted.
Maybe
right
they
now.
were scared.
Hey, maybe there's an opportunity for work there. You never know.
Right?
Fire up a new couple of roller coasters in there.
I meant more on the real estate side.
Oh,
of things,
oh,
or
yeah.
the carpentry side.
Oh
of things,
yeah, right. We'll develop the haunted around.
My business coach lives in Spring, Texas, which is just outside of Houston. And Spring is supposedly the third most haunted city in the country.
Oh wow.
So they got like ghost tours they do down there and stuff.
Sign me up.
Right?
Say road trip.
Oh, yep.
Is that anywhere near Austin? Because I want to go to Austin for the comedy clubs.
Nice.
It's about 2.5 hours from Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not too far.
So you took on a business coach, which I'm sure is a certain amount of expense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Any big tips that you got that kind of like turned you right around, new business practice, that kind of thing?
I mean, I learned so much. I've been being coached now since I first started working. I think it was about 2020. I started working with Mike Savage, the Savage Secrets.
Oh, okay.
The
Is he local?
He lives in Mass. I'm drawing a blank. Charlton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
he's pretty local.
yeah.
And that was your first business coach?
Yep.
And what was kind of like his process, or how did he help?
It was so foreign to me when I first started with a business coach. I had no idea, and then
sure.
he's really just like a coach. Like he's talking to me, finding out what I want to do with my business, and then coaching me, making sure that I'm staying on track. We met once a week for an hour Zoom call, and he just always kind of follow up, and then it would help me a little bit with business. But he said right from the beginning, I'm not here to teach you how to run a business. I'm here to coach you and help you run your business. And it's your job to run your own business. But
Yeah.
taught me a lot about just being organized.
Yeah.
It was the very beginning for me. And then he introduced me to another local contractor who was in a different group called it's the contractor fight. So it's a coaching program specifically for contractors, and they have several different programs. So he inadvertently steered me away from him and into a different coaching program, which was a little bit more affordable for me and more geared to what I was doing. So
Right.
that's been really big for me.
Yeah.
The program that I spent most of my time in with them is called the Battleground. So there's a Facebook community of like 450 contractors from all over the country.
Yeah.
We have a sales role play set up where there's like a whole scoring system. They do like belts like karate, like black belt,
Oh, wow.
all
Okay.
that, work your way up.
Yeah.
And then there's a thing you can go online and look up other people, and like they have like Calendly links or phone numbers in there, and you can reach out to people and set up role play calls so you can practice your sales.
Yeah.
And then there's I mean, they changed it a little bit over the last year or so, but I want to say there's still like 6 or 7 coaches in there that have all run businesses, contracting businesses of some sort.
Yeah.
Either they still do or they at least used to. And
Yeah.
they have all kinds of webinars and
Nice.
a whole month is full of different stuff we can pop in and check out when we need to.
Nice. Sounds like a great tool to have.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's changed my life, all of it. Like,
Yeah.
coaching was big for me. It's like
That's awesome.
completely changed how much money I'm making, and I'm really starting to set up a business now and know how to run a business versus just being a carpenter out there, having a job, a glorified job.
Yeah, I used to ask a lot of questions wherever I worked. More in the recent years, I worked at Niantic Awning, and he was very old school. He was like, "We have buckets, and there's like, I have my expenses, and then after the expenses, I fill up my bucket." He was like, "It's whatever's left over in the bucket," and it was always kind of funny that he said it that way. And
Right.
but I would imagine, like when I started out, I would imagine that would be such a big help to have somebody, you kind of figure out your goals as to where you want to go, and then have somebody help you prioritize what you need to do, because it's a checklist. Mostly running a business to me has always been checklists a mile long. And
Yep.
you prioritize which checklists for which category, that type of thing.
Right.
And the other thing is becoming a realtor. That's when I really dove into more education, more training. That wasn't even a thing for me as a carpenter,
Right.
which would have helped a lot. As
Yeah.
far as I did take some classes. I took a furniture course over at Connecticut Valley School of
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So,
with Bob Van Dyke over
Yeah.
at Woodcraft. It's their school.
yeah, out in Manchester. or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great wealth of information and stuff. And I took a couple of classes over there, but the idea of like having like training every week or every month, and going through different things on like how to run the business, profit and loss sheets, stuff like that, like
Yeah.
that would have been a huge help. And that I didn't really get into that until I was in real estate, because now you're working with investors and you have to you have to counsel them
Right.
on that. And so like learning how to like break down expenses, especially with multifamilies and stuff like that, and repair work and
Right.
that kind of stuff. That's been huge for
Yeah.
that. And yeah, a lot of it applies to your own life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Sure.
So like you said, change your whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't say it enough. If you're starting a business out there, like look into
Ask questions.
Ask
Yeah,
questions
don't
and-
be afraid to ask, because people are more than willing to help you. Which that was a huge eye-opening thing for me, because I would have never thought to like call another contracting business and ask them for advice. And,
Right.
And I guess probably if you just randomly called somebody up, they depending on who it is, it might not be so easy. But in this community, like everybody is like I said, we have a Facebook page, like a private
Yeah.
Facebook page. And if I'm having an issue I can't solve, I go in there and just type it in the Facebook page, and people are literally tripping over themselves to help you and send you documents. Oh, we just created this document last week. Check this out. This will help you.
Nice.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it is kind of an old school thing too. kind of like have trade secrets and keep them and not
For sure.
and
right.
not like that whole rising tide raises all boats, something we talk about a lot here. And just me, it's like we build up the community and everybody can be successful.
Yeah.
There's definitely enough clients out there. If you do good work, you're going to get clients. You always have work.
Yeah.
But yeah, to really see that happening more and more and more with this new generation of small businesses, especially in this area where people are just like helping each other out left and right.
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing in the real estate world because you always have to play nice because one day I have a buyer and then this another realtor will have the seller,
Right.
and vice versa next week. So it's one of those things where I feel like that's kind of the ripple effect of how we're doing business now in Northeast Connecticut,
Yeah.
and the surrounding areas.
Right,
So-
for sure. If you're burning bridges or stepping on toes, it's going to come back to get you for sure.
Right,
Yeah.
in both partnerships and clientele.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and the whole, it's not really a secret, especially with the internet now. You know what I mean? Like if you're not,
Right.
and then just it's better to make a partnership out of it rather
Yeah.
than a collab. Like, entertainment, the entertainment sector is so hard to capture people's attention. You know what I mean? But us podcasters, I love working with some of favorite people to work with
Yeah.
in this realm are the other podcasters.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Because we all have the same like tribulations to get through together.
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
the viewership for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, same thing with you guys. But I also think that like when you have that much collaboration between different groups, I think your product at the end of the day is going to be so much better because
Right.
you've learned from other people what to do pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
And what not to do and
Exactly.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the other thing, like you can go through a class and be learning. Me, I always have to talk about it afterwards. Who's interested in what you learned in? The people that are doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like to me, or when you go to reteach it to someone else, it just helps ingrain it in your head more.
Right.
I think that's a big thing that we're kind of lacking in our education system. Whereas you think of those one-room school systems, they had the K through 8 in one room,
Right.
and the 8th graders are helping teach the
Right.
younger group.
Yeah.
And we do it in Scouts, same model where it's boy-led, it's Scout-led, and the older guys are teaching the younger guys, and it's helping them, learn, review, relearn what they're teaching.
Yeah.
You can learn to tie a knot, but you usually will forget it in a couple of days if you are
If you're not
teaching.
practicing.
If you're turning around, practicing and teaching it, then it's more likely going to stay in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like the battleground. That's kind of the way it is. Because as you move up the ladder, I'm a 2nd-degree black belt in sales now in that program.
Nice.
And so all the other people are, the younger people are reaching up, younger or newer people are reaching up to me to ask for help. And then most of the coaches started out at the bottom of the program and worked their way to the top. And then they reached out to them and they became coaches. So,
Yeah.
It's got to be rewarding for you at that point too to help somebody else. Yeah, for sure.
So now, when you say sales, is it, to me, sales has always been more about education than pushing any one thing or another. Is that what you would say is true to get to your black belt?
Yeah. It's not like pushy sales.
Right.
It's just knowing how to talk to people and listen is the biggest thing. Is like,
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful.
keeping my mouth shut and let them explain what they want and
Yeah.
make sure that they feel heard and understood and that I know what they're talking about and I've listened to them while they're talking to me, and it's huge. And then we talk about honesty, be right up front, give them an idea of what it's going to cost and how long it's going to take, how long before we can be there. And I'm just trying to, just like you said, educate them, teach them what they need to know so they can make an informed buying decision. And if they, at the end of the day, they don't buy from us, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Just there to help for sure.
But, and then, like I'm sure a lot of times, if you're not getting the job, more than likely it's because it's more expensive than they thought. But you're still that resource to them. You know what I mean? Because you're honest about it, and maybe down the line you get it, or you'll get half of it. Because hey, we won't put both decks on; we'll put one deck on.
Exactly.
That
Yep.
type of stuff.
Yep. I meet a lot of people that in the beginning they didn't know what they were getting into. That, like we said earlier, they weren't prepared. They didn't have an idea of how much it was going to cost. And And they're not necessarily going to find a cheaper price. Some people are. Some people go look around and
Yeah.
see if they can get it done cheaper, and that's understandable. But a lot of times they're just like, okay, now we know how much we need,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna wait. We'll talk. I've
Yep.
talked. Can't tell you how many people I talked to. Like a year later, they call back and okay, we're ready now.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Nice.
But I feel like being honest about that's going to be great for referrals too. Even if they don't buy from you, they're going to tell somebody else that.
Yeah.
You're a great person to have for the job.
absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
That's another thing too. That I've had people that don't hire us, but then their friend calls and
Excellent.
says, "Oh, they said they had a great conversation with you, and we have a project we'd like to talk about." So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing because
Yeah.
working by referral, those are the best.
absolutely. Yeah.
Just to have that rapport with them, already
yeah.
when you're into it. Because, and that's, another reason for this platform is, when people can go online and see a conversation with you, feel like they know you better.
Right.
So when you actually do enter their house or get on a Zoom with them, it doesn't feel so much like stranger,
Right.
So, yeah, we've had a couple of success stories like that where one business referred another business to them, and that the client looked up that business and they were on the podcast. So
Oh,
they saw-
nice.
So
Yeah.
when that guy went to their house to assess what they were going to do, the client made a comment about, "Oh, I know you already." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and it was just like, there it is. That's so cool,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, because I just feel like if you watch a conversation with someone, you feel like they're knowing you know them a little bit better, and it's
Right.
we know your background story, and we know the trials and tribulations you've been through, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and just the idea of seeing how you talk and operate. It's hopefully it's helpful in that for other people out there that
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah.
I got a question for both of you guys. Do you guys ever had like a piece regarding like carpentry or whatever that really stuck out to you that you still remember to this day, like making something that was above and beyond like your expectations or anything like that?
Oh man, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that over the years. I've built a lot of really nice stuff. I always get stuck for examples but I mean, yeah, there's tons of stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, I mean,
When-
if you did thousands of jobs, there's probably so many that
yeah,
could stick out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're trying to put that little twist, your little signature on it, every one of them, so it's something you do. I look at it like, when you meet somebody and you start showing them pictures of your kids, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you start showing them pictures of your work, and they're like,
Right.
"Yeah, whatever."
yeah, right.
But for me, I two projects stand out to me. One, there was a couple in Chaplin, and their house was noted on the town records as a very old house when town of Chaplin started taking records
Okay.
in like the 1700s.
Yeah.
And they noted it then as a very old house. So it's like one of the oldest houses in Chaplin.
Right.
And they bought it right after a carpenter was fixing it up. The second story had burned, and so the carpenter was pulling these boards off and throwing them in the grass and in the bushes there, and then I think then it changed hands while he was mid fixing the burn, and then that person got that addition done and then sold it pretty much right away to my clients, who I worked there for got to be on and off for like 2 years, 3 years, and we had done probably close to 100 grand worth of work with me, and they had other people in there too but they had redone this whole kitchen living room thing. But those boards, when he bought the house, he saw them in the grass, tall grass, and he put them away in his shed. And it turned out that they were the sheathing that was used. It was chestnut,
Oh wow. Nice. Yeah.
and they're all like 5/8 half-inch chestnut. They all stayed pretty straight. Most of them were over 12 inches wide. We had some 16 and some 20 inchers, like width
wild,
wise. This
yeah.
is like so cool. So in this great room that they put together, we had put some beams up to the ridge and some posts in to open this whole, I'm going to say, probably 35-foot room now. And now it's like a big grand thing. They took the attic down and stuff. And they had me frame in their 2-story chimney. It was all this really red brick. It wasn't like, it was definitely not the period of that. It was like new brick, red brick.
Yeah.
And so we framed that in. I wrapped it in black tar paper, and then we put all these boards on. They had refinished them. They put a gloss on them. And so now we have a 2-story chestnut thing, and it looked like a waterfall.
Oh, I see. You used the chestnut
The
boards.
chestnut boards that he
Nice.
saved. They were in the grass, and we put this up, and it was just like waterfall fireplace. As it looked
That's
like
awesome.
a waterfall of chestnut wood, and it just looked so cool.
Ultimate focal point for that room, probably.
Right,
walking in,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And then when I lived in Woodstock, the barn behind my house fell down, my neighbor's barn, and somebody came in and picked all the old, it was a 100-year-old barn, picked all the hand-hewn beams out that they wanted. Well, there was like maybe 10 left over and that they didn't want. And they said, if you want them, go ahead. We're going to throw them in a burn pile. And I saved them. And we had some land out in Plainfield, and I had put them out there, up off the ground, and I was able to use this 17-foot. It was like 7 by like 8.5 piece. I used it. One piece was over their island in the kitchen, and she wrapped Edison lights around it. So that was like one piece of it. But the other 2 pieces that we got for it were the legs of the mantle, and then I put an 8 by 8 on the mantle, and that was 2 pieces where I had to do a lap joint, and I had to make some pegs for it, which was just like so cool. So that was like raw chestnut mantle
Yeah.
with legs with the waterfall behind it.
Yeah.
The waterfall of this high gloss chestnut.
Right.
It was just like, so that was one piece that I was like
Nice.
really always remember, and we're still good friends with them. They used me as a realtor to move their mom up here from Texas, and just like when you have a project like that, you usually come out being friends. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's awesome.
it's been
You
thing.
remind me of the mantles. We did just 4 or 5 years ago in Woodstock. We did a couple nice mantles where we went up to Barrett's.
Barrett's Lumber.
Yeah.
Shout out to Barrett's Lumber.
You know, the client went up there with me, and she picked out the piece she wanted, as curly maple with all the knots, like big,
Yeah.
really nice. And then
Yeah.
we cut it down the middle so that we could make 2 mantles out of it. So the front edge of these things are just all over the place, all bark still on them and everything. And
Yeah.
they come out really nice.
Yeah, the Suns have taken over there, and they really
Mm-hmm.
have they've really embraced because when the father had done it, like everything was like number one.
Right.
There wasn't, you couldn't find a knot anywhere out of millions of board feet that,
Right.
that he would procure. But the Suns got into flooring and doing the live edges
live
and
edge,
the
yeah.
spalted maples and the spalted, they'll leave a log in the grass for a year or whatever, and they really got down to timing it just right, so there was enough spalted or rot.
Right.
So, and then then they clean them up and plane them really nice, and
Yeah.
they've got some great products over there,
Mm-hmm.
and it was always fun to take clients there.
Yeah. I spend hours there just walking around looking at
like,
wood.
Look
for
how
sure.
beautiful
Yeah.
this is. This piece.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things that got me into carpentry. Is my grandfather and his brother built a live edge dining room table.
Okay.
It's in my house now. It's over 50 years old.
Nice.
Nice.
They cut the tree down on their property in Maine, and then had it milled, and then built this beautiful table. And that was like live edge wasn't even a thing back then.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then, I went through a couple. My mom had it for a while, and my younger brothers kind of beat it up. And so I took it and refinished the whole thing. And now it's my dining room table.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. It's really cool when you make heirloom type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This family is going to have this for years and
Right.
years and generations and generations.
Yeah.
And one of the other cool thing was, so when I made that mantle,
Yeah.
So it had rot on I had to take two pieces and put them together because they had rot on each of them. So I'm in my shop here late one night, and my wife sticks her head out to say goodnight, and I said you want to witness this, and I was right about to cut it with the 16-inch skill saw, and she's like, why? What are you talking about? And I was like, these two beams came from a 100-year-old barn, and now I'm about to make cuts where they'll be for who knows how long, and we're just that little blip of its history.
Right.
Like, this is kind of like an epic moment, maybe for us, but more for the beam itself. And she was
Right.
like, "You're such a nerd." She goes, "That is pretty cool, but I'm going to bed," which is fine.
Right.
It came out great. So,
Yeah, I did a lot of pole barns over the years. I worked for a company before I started my business building pole barns, and then once I started my business, I started subbing jobs from them. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and like open framing
yep.
for the roofs and stuff.
Yep.
We do like where it has a dormer coming out the front, but it's true framed, so that all the rafters come down and meet right at the corner of the valleys.
Yep.
And you're
Yeah,
it's
working
all
valley.
exposed, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
not a sleeper valley.
Right,
Yep.
exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Sorry, you probably don't.
I got my degree in ecology, so this is a learning experience for me today. So I love it.
Yeah. So when you look at valleys in the roof where two roofs come together,
Yep.
they'll have a valley rafter.
Gotcha.
Sometimes that roof is already framed and you just lay the valley rafter flat and then you never see it and the rafters come into it. There are other things called a working valley, which is more structurally sound. And from the inside, if you don't finish it off with sheetrock, you can see it and it looks like a spine
Right.
where the jack rafters are coming into it.
Gotcha.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
it's really cool when you have a piece where it'll like either it's not getting insulated or it's insulated on the outside, so you see the frame. And
Yep.
that's post and beam. You typically will insulate on the outside of the frame. You won't cover the frame because
Right.
it's a showpiece.
Yep.
Essentially, it's certain decor that you want to see is post and beam or open beam. Open
Right.
frame. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when you do sheetrock them, it's still open where you're walking through it versus the layover or the sleeper valley is really just show. You see it from the outside of the house. You don't
Yeah.
see any of it from the inside.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, there's been I'm trying to think of because there are times when by code you have to have a working valley, structural valley versus a sleeping valley,
I'm not sure about code why that would
or
be, but
structurally. Because I remember my first working valley, and I was building a house for Woodstock Builders. When I was
Okay,
a carpenter there, and I remember the first one. I can tell you where we could drive to the house right now.
Yeah.
and I remember doing it on the print, and then project coordinator showed up and he goes, "Oh, thank God you did it this way," because I forgot to tell you that's a real working valley. It has to be that way.
Right.
You can't like just frame it and then stick it over.
right.
It could also be just access.
Right, so you can walk through.
Walk
Yeah.
through, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always fun to reminisce about those things. Great question.
That's what I'm here for. That and running the cameras.
Yeah. So now I know what it's like to open up a wall and see all kinds of utilities you didn't know, or you open up that 200-year-old house that like we can't leave it this way because structurally it's framed or it's been added onto, and now the frame is not really structurally sound, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that with clients? Because there's a lot of unknowns, and I just want people to understand that sometimes it's out of our control. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like when you finally open up the wall to see it, it can change quotes quick.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think for the most part, people understand that. I mean, if you can't see it, you can't see it. You
Right.
open up the wall and it's all rotted out or something, then it is what it is. We have to stop. And figure out what it's going to cost or try to figure it out. Sometimes you can't even. Sometimes it's just like just have to get their understanding and permission to move forward and give them like an hourly price, and we're going to get this done as quick as we can. But it is what it is. It has to be repaired. We're
Right.
like you said, we're not going to cover it back up and just leave it.
Right,
Like
right.
that's just
Yeah.
not the right thing to do for sure.
Yeah. I can remember opening a wall up and having a vent, like a full duct
In your
the
way.
wall, in the way.
yeah.
And I was like,
Oh boy.
we have to call a plumber now or an HVAC guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, and we got to get this, see if we can move it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, that was probably the one that it was tough to make that phone call. The homeowner wasn't there when we opened it up. And I was like, oh boy. And then explaining that over the phone and, you know, because there was an event on the wall. It was a pass through for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know much about HVAC, and I definitely don't do electricity because I'd burn the house down.
Yeah.
I
Right.
always refer to those guys.
Yeah.
I
Leave that
remember
to
that
my
was
brother.
it was part of like the return coming from the finished basement or something like that. And
Yeah.
we didn't, you know, you didn't see it open it. My thing, a lot of people wanted to open up when I was doing carpentry. A lot of people wanted to open up between their kitchen and living room. So you putting a
Right.
beam in, or you're putting in false walls, taking a wall out, and then putting in the
A beam to right.
and then having that open floor plan. That was such a big thing.
Yeah. It still kind of is.
Yeah. And the other thing that was really cool to see in my years of work was how they went from conventional back to more beam work, more joinery, more people were appreciating
Mhm.
like carpentry, you know, even though you know, post and beam. People seemed to like that. And it was kind of cool that they were, you know, oh, what kind of joint can you do here? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and have some fancy joint rather than covering it up with sheetrock and just have a nail in, you know,
Right.
like some Simpson metal piece, which,
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, I say that all the time. You look at old architecture, old buildings, you look up at the top, the cornices and all the detail and stuff. And a lot of that stuff is, they didn't back in the day, they didn't have the equipment we have today.
right.
So that was hard work. And they were
Yeah.
doing all that extra work. But now I feel like a lot of it has to do with money. As time went on, everything gets so expensive. People can't afford that detail anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
you got to do whatever's the least expensive, basically.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. Even,
disappointing, but
and even if, you know, they could get it installed, you know, just to keep up with the maintenance of it, you know, and so if you don't want to paint it, it's got to be plastic wood,
Right.
basic, which is super expensive.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's definitely a different world as far as how much you can do. And it's wild how, you know, every nail was hand nailed back then. Everything was cut by hand, you know, and,
Yeah.
and the time that would be spent on it and
Yeah.
versus now. But it was cool. Like right around 2014, I feel like somewhere around there, it was when people really started to appreciate that open beam work and,
Yeah.
and you know, you know, I'm willing to pay extra to see that carpentry
Right.
versus painting or covering it up in one way or another. So it was kind of cool. Even if it was just like a great room, you know, it's not the whole house, but now you have a post and beam great room. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
people like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it was cool to see that appreciation come back.
Yeah.
For it. Did you probably experienced that kind of
Oh, yeah.
trend,
Yeah.
so to
for sure.
speak?
Yeah.
Anything else? Any big events coming up that you know of that you're into, or
Well, I mean, we'll go back to coaching a little bit, I guess. I actually am getting towards the end of my membership in the battleground, so I moved up to another a higher level coaching program is like the next step for me.
yeah,
And you had mentioned before everything in a business being like a checklist. So
yeah,
my new coach is a pilot for United Airlines. He's a senior pilot, flies 777s all over the world.
wow,
And when he got at 2020, when COVID happened and he got furloughed from his job as a pilot, he's like, you know, what am I going to do now? So he ended up starting his first business, which was property management.
okay,
And when he started getting into that, he was like, one day he was sitting in the plane on the tarmac, and it just all of a sudden clicked to him. He's like, I have to build my business like United Airlines. It's like everything
Okay.
has to have a checklist.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, they grew their property management business to like the fastest growing property management business in the United States, and then sold it to venture capitalists
Awesome.
for a bunch of money. And then he started a coaching program.
Nice.
So,
Nice. So
man.
that's where you're headed.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you had your first consult with this guy?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been down there a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm actually going back in a couple more weeks. So,
Nice. This is down in Texas?
yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
We have live calls every day too. You know, local. I can just jump on a Zoom call or whatever all
Yeah.
the time. But there's a call every day from 10:30 to 11:30.
Yeah.
But I like the live stuff because it just gets me energized. I go down there, spend a couple days, and
Yeah, for
get
sure.
pumped up, and come
Yeah.
back here and implement something new in the business. And
Yeah. That's cool. I like how you've embraced the technology part of it too. That was one thing I had a hard time with. You know, even going into real estate, you know, all of our forms are online. There's different programs to use with them all. And that was a struggle for me. And I see like a lot of contractors and carpenters for hire where, you know, they just want to do carpentry. They don't want to do
Yeah.
that part on the, you know, I chose carpentry because I didn't want to be on a computer all day.
Right, right.
And I get it, but it you know, obviously enhances your business, you know, quite a bit when especially when you can do first couple of consults over the phone or over Zoom,
Yeah.
and then really know that you're on the same page with them before you're driving out there and spending all that time,
Yeah.
you know, out there away.
Yeah, we also use not Battleground, Builder Trend for our management software.
Okay.
So it's from lead intake all the way to warranty phase. And like all our customers have their own login, their own portal. So
Okay.
once they hire us, we give them send them an email, and they can set up their own login information. So they have a secure portal where they keep track of their schedule and their payments. You know, everything is done through there. All documents, permit applications, insurance, everything is in the portal, in the file section for them to see anytime they want. And then all of our teams do a daily log at the end of every day. Right. Basically, to write down what they did, put them some photos, and then the clients can see all that, and it saves all the photos and automatically loads them into a separate file for the client, so they have photos of the whole job from start to finish.
Wow, that's awesome.
People love that, especially people that aren't home when we're working on their
For
house,
sure.
because they
Yeah.
can, wherever they are, they can open up their phone real quick and see what's going on, and
Yeah.
that makes people feel comfortable.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. I constantly have to remind people sometimes, like, hey, contractors a lot of times good at what they do. They're not always great at communication. They're not always great at, but it seems like you're squashing that
Trying to, yeah,
trial tribulation type of situation really well.
yeah,
So that's great.
yeah.
Man, sounds like you got it going. You got it going on. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. We also use virtual reality for design now too.
Really?
So I use Chief Architect to do drawings, kitchen and bath designs and stuff like that.
Nice.
Well, anything, additions, whatever we're doing.
So people can click their way through their new addition or their house.
They can see it all, 3D renderings, floor plan, the whole bit. We do the full construction drawings in-house and do some really nice photorealistic 3D renderings. But now we've even got to the point where I can stick a VR headset on them and like stand in your own kitchen and look around at what it's going to look like when we're finished with it. Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
That must be like super exciting for the client too when they see exactly what they want and they're like, "Yep, here we go. That's exactly what I wanted."
Yeah.
Or they can change something because they didn't.
Oh,
you know,
for sure.
it's tough to do things off a blueprint for a lot of people. They can't see
Exactly.
it yet, and now they can walk through it virtually. That's pretty cool.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
People love that they know, they feel comfortable spending the money because, like you said, a flat blueprint to a lot of people, they have no idea, can't visualize.
Right.
So it's like they're kind of in the dark the whole time, and they're sort of worried, like, oh, I hope this comes out, and I hope I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
But with our pictures, it's like it's basically what you're going to see. It's pretty realistic.
That's great. That's great. Is there do you do like handyman services or small jobs? Like how, just to get the scope of what people can.
Not really. I have a couple of people that I can refer stuff like that out
Okay,
to.
awesome.
But the little stuff is really hard for us,
Right.
especially because, like I said earlier, I only have one carpenter that works for me.
Yeah.
Everybody else is trade partners, so
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's tough to do the little ones.
Yeah, and with the way insurance and stuff, a lot of people can start out in that handyman thing, but once you kind of scale up the overhead, you kind of have to do the jobs that can pay for the over,
Right.
that kind of thing. So no, I get it, and that I'm just like, yeah, but it's great that you have people to refer that smaller stuff out when someone has like a punch list of stuff to do, because I still get that call even now, and then a lot of times when we have appraisers go through houses, they'll have like a list. No, the lender's not going to lend on this until X, Y, and Z is done. So it's great to have people that I can, refer to or whatever. So
Yeah, that's why I do a lot of networking,
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
nice to have
right.
people that that you can refer. I mean, it just makes people feel comfortable when they call you and ask you for something. You're like, I can't do that, but I know the perfect person. Call this person.
Yeah,
And then you get a phone call back. You get a phone call from the person that you referred them to saying thank you. And a lot of times the other person calls, the person you referred calls back and thanks you. Oh, that
yeah,
guy was great. I loved working with him. Thank you so much.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and one big thing I will say as a carpenter was paying my subs like right away. That was one guy that I didn't realize that this was so foreign. I learned it from working for Woodstock Builders. When the sub is done, they could go to their office and get a check. It didn't matter if we were paid for the job, and that was kind of how I ran it. I had to have that bankroll
Yeah.
to pay. So that's for me why I couldn't sub out right away. You know what I mean? Because you had to build up that bankroll
Right.
so that they could do it and get paid. And
Yeah.
a lot of times I would, be there to check on the work. And, in their last days, I was giving them the money on there. And that was big for the partnership because, when I had a phone call, like if, no such thing as a perfect roofer that's never had a leak. We did have one leak, and it was when it was a transition from a 45-degree regular architectural shingles to a flat roof and flat roofing.
Yeah.
And there was a leak, and uh, you know, he answered my call, first ring, and we were out there within 6 hours fixing it together. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And that was big, and that kind of thing where they don't have to worry about getting paid when they work for you. So that was like a huge thing for me. That because I wasn't huge, I didn't need them all the time, but when I did, they picked up the phone, and they were there when they said that they were going to be there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was always big.
When I was coming up in the business, I worked for people that didn't pay when they were supposed to, and
Yeah.
I experienced that, and that was horrible.
To see the
Yeah.
other way around, and
Yeah.
I was a sub a couple of times for some that you had to wait until the job was done and they got their
And they
final
got paid,
payment.
right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was and that's kind of the culture in money management. Again, they're good at contract, they're good at carpentry, but they're not always good at the money management, the communication, that type of stuff. And it's
Yeah.
refreshing when you find people that at least try to be better at that stuff,
Right.
and someone such as yourself that's embraced the whole other aspect of it.
Yeah.
That's
that
awesome.
that was it's always been very important for me to make sure that my guys get paid every week.
Yeah.
Sub or employee, it doesn't matter. There's been plenty of times where I've paid people and I don't have any money left for myself.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they got to get paid.
Yeah.
I remember one time where it was like questionable. Well, this was a long time ago, but I told all the guys on Monday morning, I said, we got to get XX and X, Y, and Z done. And if it's not done by the end of the week and I don't have time to go get a check, there's not going to be any money. So like you can make your decision right now. If you don't want to stay here, it is what it is. I'm not going to make you, but that I remember that was like that we had to wait till like 6 o'clock that Friday. And I was like, just made it to the bank, just got the check cash, ran back to my house,
man.
paid everybody.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
the closest it ever got. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
I mean that's the risk that you take when you're in business for yourself.
Yeah.
And with carpentry in the housing industry. So the housing industry is one of the best investments still to this day. It's just the way it is. Whether
Yep.
you're buying, flipping, reselling, it's if you stick with it, you do it right, you watch your numbers. It's better than the S&P the return. However, there's a lot more risk and there's a lot more expenses and there's more like boots on the ground time involved. It's not just putting your money in a money market or an investment portfolio and then watch it grow.
Right.
It's the whole reason why it's such a good return on investment is because you're putting that much more sweat equity and boots on the ground into it. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're a carpenter, a developer, a house flipper, those types of things, you're putting a lot of risk out there ahead of time that you may or may not, make a profit on.
Right.
But depending on if you open that, if you're a flipper and you open that wall and you didn't know
prepare for that. Yeah.
6 walls are termite infested and you got to replace them all, like that cuts right into that profit. So,
For sure.
yeah. Man, it's been great talking to you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming out and being so frank with your business practices and everything. Really, really appreciate that. I feel like we all learned quite a bit.
Yeah,
Nice.
unbiased third party here. This was a learning experience, like true and true for me, for sure.
So I appreciate you guys having me on. It's awesome.
That's
For sure.
great.
Thank you.
Awesome. And you're always welcome here. You have any big turns in the road, something you want us to promote or get on and tell all your clients and followers that you want, just come on, just give me a call.
Nice.
We'll work you into the schedule.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's been fun hanging out for sure.
Anyway, thank you everyone else out there for watching. The Community Workbench family is in the middle of their Be the One campaign. It was started by the American Legion in efforts to stop veteran suicide. If you know a veteran, call them. Be the one to check in on them. And I will also extend that out to any first responders. Many of them are dealing with PTSD, with the stuff that they see on a regular basis. So if you need any help with that, betheone.org is a very great resource for any questions. But the biggest thing is letting them know that you're there. Join us again next Monday at 6, August 4th, when we interview Kelsey Zardeskas, owner of the Craft Collective. Can't wait to hear her story. As always, buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, donate local, hire your builder locally.
Nice.
Have great days.
Awesome. Thank you guys. All right.